All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Potential Project, where we find out what it takes to unlock your full potential in every area of life. I'm your host, Sean Calhoun, and today we're going to be breaking down another topic that deals with a little bit of mindset, right? Now, I know I like to talk a lot about your health and your nutrition and your well being because that's what I do for a living. But I also like to touch on this because it has a lot to do with your overall quality of life and your ability to pursue your full potential. Like I said in the intro, we want to see how we can improve our quality of life in every area of life. Now, I don't claim to be an expert in many areas, but we want to talk about those things because if we want a well-rounded, happy life, it doesn't just come from one area, right? But today, the spark for this conversation and this thought was the fact that at the time of this recording, it is mid to late January, right? It's January 20th as of this recording, which means, we're into the new year of 2025, and folks probably, the week before or the week of January 1st, they made their New Year's resolutions. And I know you probably hear this conversation a lot, but I wanted to bring up my thought on it and how it's impacted me, and maybe some things that you can do to shift this around, right? So it's the new year. We set our intentions for the years. We set our goals, what we want to improve, the different areas of our life, our health, our happiness, our finances, our relationships, right? We want to improve all those. We set goals. And some of us even go to the point of making a plan, right? Designing the strategy in which you're going to make that happen in the new year. The sad truth is, and I don't know where they get this data from, but 80 to 90% of people fall short of their New Year's resolutions by now, right? It's not even we're not even out of the first month of the year, and most people will have fallen short or given up on their goals already. And to me, as someone who wants to promote well-being and people, giving a crap and not just dealing with average, and they want to go see their best self in this lifetime, that upsets me because if that many people are struggling, it's like, what's going on to cause this to happen, right? So, with that stat in mind, that's going to drive the conversation for today. Now, I myself, my goals don't necessarily happen in 1 year. Like they might take longer than 1 year. So it's hard for me to really sit down and when the new year comes to say, all right, this is my big year for the goal, or my big goal for the year, and this is what I want to happen, and here's how. Yes, I do those things. I see where I can make some realignments in my life, things that I can get rid of, right? I realize that we have a lot of what we need. Sometimes we just need to get out of our own way. So what I do is I sit down and see some of the things that I can get rid of in my life, how I can clean up the clutter of my schedule and my habits and my mindset. But today, what I want to start with is why that number is so high. Why do 80 to 90% of people fall short or give up on their goals by not even February, right? By a couple weeks into the new year. Well, one thing on a baseline is that they have unrealistic goals, they have a lack of a plan, and they don't have accountability. Like these are some of the baseline things, right? So if you're just going into the new year and saying, I want to do this, that would be cool if I accomplished this. Well, you're never going to do that, right? If you get in the car and you say, I just want to show up somewhere warm, and you don't have a GPS or a route to get there and know which turns to make and which turns not to make, you're not going to show up at that place. You might, but it's going to be on accident, right? So for your plan, right, if you have a goal in the new year, most people in that 80 to 90%, they had an unrealistic goal. Like they're at a certain point in life and they think they're going to make such a huge leap that they can't even see the steps in between. Therefore, it becomes defeating and it's hard to keep up with that, right, over time. So, unrealistic goal, lack of a plan. Like I said, if you don't have steps to take or something to follow, it's gonna be hard, right? Because in life, the biggest thing that's going to lead you to success in any areas is consistency and being able to take feedback from what happens, right? Looking at failures or things as learning lessons and making the adjustment to course correct and keep going. So if you don't have a plan, it's going to be really hard for you to stay consistent and to make those adjustments. And then not having accountability. So if you, in your mind, are thinking of a goal and you didn't write it down, you didn't tell anyone, you didn't put it on social media or have some type of accountability to it, well then it's just going to go out the window. Like literally imagine if it was December 31st and you sat in your room and you just closed your eyes and you thought of a goal, right? How hard is that going to be, right? That's going to be almost impossible to actually execute and get that goal to happen, right? If you don't have any type of accountability. So you got to write these things down. You have to boil it out. You have to do step by step on what are some things that are going to occur, good and bad. Who can I enlist in, right? Having that physical accountability, that person or those people or that group to hold you to what you said you were going to do is I believe the stats are 91% more likely that you're going to do it. So now you go from, hey, I have no accountability and I'm 90% likely not to do this to, hey, I have some accountability and I'm 91% more likely to do this. That's a huge swing. So those are the main things that I see that cause people to being in that large group, that 80 to 90%. Another thing that I see is with today, the way our society is set up is instant gratification, right? If you want to order something, you can do it on your phone and it comes right to your house. If I post something online and I want a dopamine hit, I can get likes from that picture. If I have a friend or a family member in another state or another country, I can call them right now. I can FaceTime them and see their face, right? It's instant. Life is instant. If you order something online, Amazon will get it to your house the next day, essentially, right? But if you've learned from anyone who's built anything like big companies, great lives, great bodies, right? Those things take time. It's not going to happen as quick as some of the things that we have access to now. And those are great tools. Like I love to have the ability to be able to call people and to order something and get it when we need it. But this is something that I have struggled with, right? I own a fitness studio, as you know, and I have big goals and I have a lot of things that I want to accomplish in my life. And when it comes to doing those things, you don't really know the exact timeline, right? The universe, God, whoever you believe in, has a timeline for what it's going to take you, and the amount of work that you put in directly correlates to when you get that result. But if you are building a business or trying to transform your physique, no matter how much you work that day, it still takes time, right? You can only spend so many hours in the gym, but let's say you work out for 5 hours one day, you still will not have the body that you desire in one day. It takes a long time, months, years and years, right? Sometimes decades, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So the struggle that I have had is knowing that, hey, I have the goals that I have, right? And I understand that it's going to take time, but when things get tough, when the weather sucks, when unfortunate events happen in life, right? You get sick, someone dies, just things happen, right? Life is always going to happen. When those things happen and you're working every day towards a goal and you don't think you're there yet, well then that's why people give up. That's why the 89, 90% of people give up on their New Year's resolutions prior to, the 1 to 2 months into the whole new year. So from my perspective, I'm just saying that there's a lot of instant gratification out there, and that has led me to struggle in a sense where it's like, all right, I have these big goals and they're not here yet. And when things pop up, it's like, ooh, that gets frustrating. You start to have, anxiety, thoughts of doubt pop up in your head. So what we're going to talk about today is basically some more of those reasons why most people quit on their goals and what can we do about it? Because I've mentioned this many times before. When I do these episodes, a lot of times they are messages that I've heard from other people who have very successful lives in my perspective, and I'm trying to reiterate the message in my point of view and learn as well. So when I articulate this to you through this message, I'm getting benefit from it as well. So it's almost a little bit selfish that I'm trying to teach myself these lessons and apply them and then show you, hey, this is what I'm doing to apply them in my life, and these are the results that I'm getting. So I don't think I am on top of any world by any means, right? Like I am getting to become an expert in the health field, somewhat, right? I don't think I'm the top of the food chain there, but I take these lessons and I give them to you so that you can see, hey, I'm doing it along the way. So the reason why I wanted to do this podcast, not only today, but in my life, is because you see a lot of people on social media and with podcasts, and they have already quote unquote made it, right? They have the business, they have the body, they have the relationship, they have all of the things that people are searching for, and then they want to talk about it. Well, sometimes they're so far removed from the struggle or from the journey on the way to that point that it's hard to relate to. So the reason why I'm doing this podcast is because I'm on the journey, right? I am not sitting here in a yacht, in a mansion with the perfect life, right? Like no one has a perfect life, but you get what I'm saying. Like I'm talking to you along the journey so that hopefully we can bond together and learn these things and grow together. But back to the point, right? So the next part was too much instant gratification. The other thing was that thinking that your goal and the end result is what's going to bring you happiness, right? If you think like, hey, I just want to have a six pack, or I just want to be at this weight, or I just want to be able to fit into these clothes, or I just want to get this promotion and this amount of money, whatever. When we have that as our goal, we think that achieving that is going to give us the satisfaction of happiness and joy and well being. And yes, there are some great things that are going to come from hitting your goals because that's the whole point, right? Hey, I got this promotion. That was my goal. Now I can afford to, you know, put my family in a safe home, go on a vacation once a year, whatever it is, right? Those things are going to happen from achieving your goal. But the mental and physical embodiment of happiness will not come from those things. And if you ask yourself, well, what do you mean by that? Well, just look at your life up to this point. You've probably achieved some goals. You probably have done some pretty cool things, or did some things that you didn't think you were going to do, or you hit goals in the past, and you're still in this position mentally. Like you still feel like you need to do more or achieve this in order to feel fulfilled and feel happy, and you haven't yet. So if that is the case, then we need to rewire and rethink how we're approaching these new goals, right? Like for health, for example, let's say you think that you're not at a good weight, and when you see yourself in the mirror, you don't like what you see. So you want to change that, right? You want to adjust your body composition. Let's say you're a guy and you want a six pack. Like that's an easy thing to do, not to do, but to want, right? Like a lot of guys might want that. So you say, when I get this six pack, I'll be happy. But let's say we snap forward a couple years and you do have a six pack, there's going to be something else that you want, and that's not going to be enough. And you're going to compare yourself to someone else who might be a little bit more physically in shape than you. And that's going to lead to you feeling less than again. So we need to get away from thinking that achieving the goal will give you what we're searching for in life. I feel like a lot of things that we do in life, it's just to bring joy and happiness and fulfillment. So instead of thinking that hitting a milestone or receiving a tangible, physical, material thing will bring us happiness, we need to let that go. We need to realize that it's the person that you're becoming, the mindset that you have, and the strength that you're developing mentally and physically is what we should be seeking, right? Like if your goal is to be at a certain level in your business, and in order to do that, you have to learn how to public speak better, you have to get better at sales, you have to, take care of your body and stay in shape so that you can be, well attended at work, and you have to do all of these things. Well, then look at all of the amazing attributes and characteristic traits and improvements that you made to your life in order to achieve that goal. So let's say you hit the financial milestone, but in order to do that, you had to become this elevated person. And in turn, you are able to give a much better person to the world and to the other people who might follow you. That is the goal. That is the sense of fulfillment that we need to be searching for. And then another bullet point that I wrote down here was lacking belief in yourself. So let's bring it back to my example. Like I said, things take time. So if you want to build your business or your health and you're on this journey and you're like, all right, Sean, I get it. I know it's going to take some time, right? So I don't know when it's going to happen. It might be a couple months, it might be a couple years, but I'm committed and I'm doing it this time, right? I'm doing it. But you've never been there before, right? You've never been fit. You've never had a six pack. You've never been at that point in your financial career with your business or with a relationship. Like you've never had a partner, like a boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife for a long time, right? Like maybe you're new to this whole thing, so you don't even know what it feels like. That is what I believe is something that really stops people from committing to their goals. So like if you're on the health journey, right? Let's say you're 100 pounds heavier than you want to be, and you had never been at that weight before. Like growing up, you were always heavy. You had never tasted what it was like to be in those shoes, feel that body, feel that health, whatever it is. And you know it's going to take a while. Well, then your belief is going to be low. It's like, I don't know if I can do this. I have never felt what it was like to be at this level of health before. So you don't even know what to push towards, right? You don't know where to turn. And then when things get tough, you're like, well, I'm comfortable being in this body, even though it's uncomfortable. Like I don't want to be in this health and I want to be in a better health, but I'm used to it, right? So I'm not going to do the uncomfortable thing when it's in the dark, right? Like it's like you're going through the tunnel and you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So it's just dark in there. You don't know who to turn to, you don't know who to talk to. You lose belief in yourself, and then we find something else, or we give up, or we try something new, and we've never put in the consistency and the time to get to where we want to get to, right? Like if we know going into the new year, you're like, you know what? I want to go to the gym. I'm going to go twice a week. I'm going to get some steps in daily. I'm going to drink more water. I have my goal set. I'm going to drink 100 ounces of water a day. I'm going to prioritize protein. Like you've done your research, right? You know some of the basic things that you can do, but you've never been there, right? You don't have any accountability, and you're a couple weeks in and you're sore, or let's say you're a couple days in. You didn't even make it to the end of the month. You're 3 weeks in and you're sore. You're confused because you don't know if it's working or not because you haven't lost any weight, right? Your body just hurts. You hate eating the dinners that you've been eating because you made such a drastic change from what you used to eat in the past. You're like, this sucks. Why am I even doing this anymore? Like, why am I doing this? I don't know if it's actually going to happen or not. Like they say it is, but I haven't seen one change. Let's just give up. So the belief is a huge thing. And I think that belief is the ultimate like success determinant, right? It doesn't matter how you do certain things, right? There's different ways to approach fitness. There's different ways to be in business, right? You could sell whatever you want with social media nowadays. You could have a focus in any product that you want. But if you have a lack of belief in yourself, you're not going to draw the energy from other people to believe in you as well and want to be a part of it. Like for example, let's say I had an ice cream shop and I was the only person in there. And you walked in and I was like, "Hey, how you doing? Welcome. We have 3 flavors. What do you want?" Right? Like that's low energy, that's low self-belief. You're not going to get anyone to want to be a part of that. They're going to like, "Oh, okay, I'm out of here. I'm going to go to the ice cream shop down the street and get my ice cream from there." So belief in yourself comes off as a more compelling, convicting energy when you speak to people, when you're around them. Sometimes you don't even need to say anything, and people can feel the belief in yourself because it's an energetic experience, right? So if you came in and I'm in there and I'm waiting for you, and I got my bright outfit on because I work in an ice cream shop and I got my hat on and my apron or whatever. And I'm like, "Hey, how you doing? Welcome to so-and-so ice cream shop. I'm grateful to have you here. Let me know if you have any questions. We have a specialty flavor of the day. It's one of my favorites. And I'll be here to help." And you put on a great experience and you do a big scoop and they get a huge ice cream bowl and they were like, wow, this guy, he's really awesome. They're going to go home and they're going to tell their friends and they're going to come back and there's going to be a good experience from that. And that's going to lead you to hitting your goals. So I know I kind of went off on a tangent on the belief thing, but it's important because if you don't have belief in yourself, your energy is going to be low, your tone's going to be low. You're going to feel like you're just moving in slow motion, and that is not going to attract the people, places, things, and scenarios that are going to lead you to actually hitting your goal. So those are some of my bullets that I thought of for why apparently 80 to 90% of people give up on their goals by now into the new year. So what can we do about it? What are some things that I do, some things that I've learned, and things that I'm still currently doing to help me stay on track, to understand that even when things get tough, I'm going to pursue my goals, right? So first things first is to seek guidance from someone who has what you want. There is no such thing as self-made. Everyone has learned from other people or had help somewhere along the line, right? So if you want to achieve something, the quickest way to do that is to seek someone who has what you want. If you want to make $1 million selling sneakers, there's people who have done it. If you want to open an ice cream shop, there's someone who's done it. If you want to lose 100 pounds, there's someone who's done it, right? So you need to do your due diligence and find someone who has the physical proof and are living the life that you currently want to live and seek guidance from them. Now, you can do that in many different ways. You can listen to their podcast. You can read their books. You can follow them on social media. There's mentorships. There's coaching programs. We have access to people all across the world now. And back in the day, it was probably just books, right? You had to read a book. You had to consume that whole thing and you had to take your notes from it and apply it. Now, there's people on Zoom with coaching programs who you can meet with right on the computer, and they'll tell you exactly the step-by-step blueprint to get what you want. So that's the first thing, because if you're not getting advice or a plan from someone who's never been there, you're gonna go down the wrong path, right? So first thing is you want to eliminate the time gap, and you might have to pay for that, right? The mentorships are not always free, but the books are cheap, podcasts are free, social media is free. So you can find some way, no matter what your financial position is to get the right help, right? Find someone who has what you want. Then second is to create a plan with daily steps to follow, right? Like I said, if you're in a mentorship, they're hopefully, if they're a good coach, going to give you the step-by-step plan on how they got there and how you can follow along the journey, right? But if not, let's say you're reading books or you're listening to podcasts and you're getting the clues and the hints and they're talking about things, right? Then you have to formulate that plan, right? If you found someone online that you love, right? Someone who's been crushing workouts. They post their workouts online and you're like, you know what? I really like this person. I'm going to follow them. And you've listened to a podcast that they were on that kind of what they talk about makes a lot of sense. And you're like, all right, I like this. I like what I'm hearing. They connect with me. They've been through what I've been through. Now you have to create a plan. So you would then go ahead and set up and say, you know what? I'm going to go on their Instagram and I'm going to look up some of their workouts and I'm going to do 2 of those a week. And I'm going to write it on my calendar when I'm going to do it. And like you create this plan to where you can see if you're adhering it to it or not. I think the problem that we have is that we don't have a set plan and then we get frustrated when things aren't consistent. Well, you didn't have a thing to follow, right? If you made that plan and you're like, hey, Tuesday, Thursday, I'm doing that at-home workout from the Instagram person because they post on their page and they have some workouts that I can do and they've been where I want to get to, right? So then Tuesday comes and you do it, you put a big X on your calendar because you did it, right? Or a big W. Then Thursday comes and you put a big W and you're like, wow, I'm doing this, right? That is going to leave you motivated to then go the next week and do it again. Because if not, you're like, crap, I might be 2 years out from achieving this weight loss goal because that's how long it took this person. And how am I ever going to stick with this, right? If you're not tracking those things. So getting a calendar, a book, some way to track your progress and give yourself some credit. But like I said, there are so many mentorships and coaching programs. If you have access to one of those, that's going to even be a quicker transition. I'm not saying we need to rush through this, but if you went from having access to that person's Instagram page and just maybe doing some workouts to them one-on-one coaching you, how much better results do you think you're going to get? You're going to get their feedback. They're going to be able to tell you some of the struggles that popped up, and you're going to say, oh, that makes so much sense. Let me just stay on track here. Right. So now you've sought out guidance from someone who has what you want. You made a plan or you purchased a plan, the blueprint from them with steps to follow. The next thing that I like to do is to find daily gratitude. Right. This morning, I was experiencing a large amount of gratitude just from my life. Right. Sometimes I get caught up in the whirlwind of trying to improve and get my health better and improve my family and my business and all those things that you forget to sit back and really feel the appreciation for the stuff that you already have, right? The stuff that you've worked so hard for up to this point to actually acquire and achieve, you have it right now. And if you're so caught up on the future, then you never get to appreciate your life. And I don't think you want to get to the end of your life and say, man, that went by fast. I don't really remember any of it, right? So this morning I was really experiencing gratitude for a lot of the people and the things that I have in my life already. But one way you can do this is a gratitude journal. I like to, at nighttime, just write down 3 things that I'm grateful for. Another way you can do gratitude is to set triggers, right? Let's say your trigger is every time you stop at a red light, you think of something you're grateful for. So then that puts you in a pattern of saying, oh, red light, and then mentally you think of something you're grateful for. Another way, I don't do this as much, but that people have done is to reach out to others and express your gratitude. Like maybe you send out a gratitude text in the morning for someone who's made an impact in your life, right? And just show them that appreciation, because then I feel like it gets exemplified or not exemplified. It gets like it's exponentially effective, because if I'm feeling grateful and then I share that gratitude towards someone else, well, then they can feel that as well. And it probably creates a ripple effect for them to do it. But that's a side note. But finding daily gratitude, because if you are saying, I want to achieve this goal, that's one thing. But if you're in your mind, you're saying, I want to lose this weight because I hate my body, I hate the way I look, and I hate everything about myself. Well, that is coming from a place of lack, and it's going to be very hard to achieve what you want, right? Because the universe is going to push that away from you. Or I want to make this much amount of money. I want to make this amount of money because I hate my salary right now. I can't afford anything. I can't do this, that, and the third. You come from a place of negativity. Again, it's going to be hard to achieve that. Whereas if you find gratitude for what you currently have, hey, I'm really grateful for my health because it allows me to work my job. I'm grateful for my family because they give me so much love and support and warmth when I need it, right? I'm grateful for my car because it's able to drive me to the store and to go do things with friends and to work, right? Even though you might want a nicer car, but what about your car right now? What about your house right now? What about your job right now? Like, what are you grateful for and why? And then embody that, right? Don't just say it and push it off to the left, right? And say, oh, I'm grateful for this, right? No, sit there and think about how it makes you feel and why it has such an impact on your well-being right now. That's going to help you say, hey, I'm grateful for what I want, for what I have right now, and it's going to allow me to draw in what I want. And then the last thing is to set small rewards and wins along the way. Back to the person who got the calendar out and they're working out on Tuesdays and Thursdays and they're crossing that off as they go with a big red marker, right? They're so excited. 3 months in, they have all these X's on the calendar, right? Because they did their workouts. We'll set some small goals along the way because it's going to take a while, and that's okay, right? Let's say it takes you 2 years to lose the weight that you want to lose. But every month that you have all those X's or you completed a full month, well, then you treat yourself to a dinner, right? And maybe it's not like a dinner that's like terrible food, but it's a nicer dinner, right? You typically wouldn't go out to get a steak or some seafood or whatever it is, but you treat yourself to that. Or you have rewards along the way that if I hit my goal, this is going to happen. So now it's like, hey, at the end of every week or at the end of every month, I have something to look forward to. Me and my girlfriend or wife we're going to go out on a date if we hit our budget, right? If we budgeted our finances for the month. If we hit our goal, then guess what? We've earned a date night out to go to dinner and the movies, right? Because we can not only afford it, but we said what we were going to do. We did it, right? So you get to create that, right? I'm not going to tell you how to set your rewards or what to do or what makes you happy, but that's important, mainly because things take longer than we think they're going to take, right? Um, we and comma end we don't know when it's going to happen, right? If you order something online, you know, hey, it says it's going to be here in 2 days, it'll be here in 2 days. If you start a business or start on a health journey, you don't know when you're going to hit that goal, when you're going to be financially free, or when any of those things are going to happen. So this is why it's important to have these goals or these celebrations and rewards on a weekly or monthly basis, because then that allows you to say, I'm enjoying my time, I'm getting better, I'm learning, and I'm present and grateful for all that's happening in my life. That the goal that you first set is going to be a byproduct. And when you achieve it, it won't be such a shock to your system. It'll be a part of the journey, and then you can continuously set bigger and better goals. So I hope this helped, guys. These are just some of my thoughts, some of the things that I do when dealing with New Year's resolutions and goals, and my mindset behind it, right? What struggles I go through, what a lot of other people who talk to me go through, and what can we do about it? So I will get back to having some good guests and talking more about specifically health and hormones and all that great stuff. But I needed to get this episode in here because it just it's been popping up on my social media feeds about how many people are giving up on their goals. And I want to tell you that it's always a new day, right? I'm not saying to keep pushing it off, but you can do this. Use some of these tips. And if you enjoyed this episode, if you learned anything, please share it with somebody. Like and subscribe. If you subscribe, you're going to get a notification of when the episodes come out, which is every Tuesday at 5 a.m. So this way you'll never miss a beat, and you're always going to get those episodes on how to get better. But please share the show, text them, send it on your social media, and I will be forever grateful for you guys. So thank you for listening, and I will see you next week.